Hey, David. Nice to talk with you again. It's been a while.
I know it. We've been doing so many other kinds of things, and I've been doing Facebook Lives, and we really sit and make a video, but we've always enjoyed doing that.
I know we have. It's so fun.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I miss sitting here and the awkwardness of having ideas about specifically what I'm going to say when I usually wander and ramble and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about the shadow,
Right.
which I know you've done a Facebook Live about recently, but we're going to talk about it again. Why is it important to understand what the shadow means?
The thing that I've been thinking about lately is how often the term is misused. So people have so many different conceptions of the shadow. Some of them are actually interesting, but they're not technically correct. Should that matter? No. But they're often confusing or misleading. So people have this idea of, we need to deal with the shadow, we need to heal the shadow is a negative thing, the shadow is emerging, we have to do something to make that go away. Donald Trump is the shadow. There's some truth to that there's a shadow aspects in these things people are talking about, but it's not exactly what's in the shadow itself.
Well, how do our shadows get created?
So one thing you have to know about the shadow, maybe the key definitional aspect of the shadow, is it's something that's pushed into the unconscious. If you think of in consciousness as a light, then it's pushed into the unconscious, and now it's not in the light of my own awareness. I can't see it. So it's not about it being good or bad, it's about how visible it is to me. And if I have a quality that I don't like very much, for whatever reason, and I push it out of my awareness, I shouldn't be like that, then it becomes something like out of the light, it gets pushed into the shadow. So it's a forcing something out of the light of awareness.
Okay, can you give me a few examples, especially those things that most people probably wouldn't view as negative, but nevertheless they could get relegated to the shadow?
Right. So let me just say this one thing to entree to that. So there's a suppressive force. This force that's pushing something out of the light of awareness is suppressive because it's in me. I'm just pushing it away, or oppressive, right? So the most common example, I think, is the example of anger. Okay. So let's say you treat me disrespectfully, or you injure me somewhere, you say something I don't like, or I have a boundary that I can't protect, and you kind of push past that. I'm in the middle of doing something, and I say, hey, Lisa, I'm in the middle of doing something. Now let's say I can say that. Here's the energy. I'm in the middle of doing something. I want to speak. I want to say that. I want to assert myself. Now, why would I not be able to say that? Many people don't say simple things like that. Excuse me, you're interrupting me. That doesn't feel respectful. That's not so good.
Right.
So why not? Because something says, that's not so nice. That's not appropriate. She's not doing anything wrong. Why do you have to be forceful? Why do you have to be assertive? That's a little bit pushy. Something like that. That could be even part of my gender. If you're a woman, it might be like, well, you shouldn't really speak up if a man walks in, be more respectful. Maybe it's your boss, be more respectful. You don't want to lose your job. All kinds of reasons why you might not do that. So now you have an energy. I think I'd like to say something here. That doesn't feel so good. I'm looking for a pen or something. I mean, grab one, So something comes up and I'm like, that doesn't feel so good. I shouldn't be that way. So you see how this goes down now. It goes out of the light of my awareness. I shouldn't be that way. And then I sit there and I say, oh yeah, come on in, no big deal. But it's a little bit of a big deal, not a big one. Now let's say that happens 10 times in the next 10 days. Or regularly, you constantly do that to me. Or let's say I don't have that capacity to assert myself, and it's happening with 20 different people over the next month.
Right.
Now there's the force that says, I would like to say I want to respect my own time. I'd like to say something. It takes a little assertion to do that, but I'm not allowed to do that. Shh. But there's a little energy down here. Now that energy comes up again tomorrow, or with somebody different. And it does that over and over and over, but I keep on pushing it down. That energy doesn't go away. Physics says is a conservation of energy.
Yes.
So this energy gets conserved. That means it's building. It's got much, I'm squishing it. It gets much stronger. And pretty soon it bursts out and I kind of go, hey, why? don't you see that I'm in the middle of doing something?
Right.
Right?
I've never said anything.
Oh, you've never said anything like that to me, because I'm always so careful, right? So now it bursts out, and it looks something like angry, like a little violent, like a little disruptive. It's a little too forceful. Why do you have to be so pushy?
Right.
So people think
And somebody says, gosh, geez, sorry, or something.
Exactly.
Right?
I have an anger problem.
Right.
We need to do something about this force that's erupted in me.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the shadow. The problem is it's a shadow. Your anger is in the shadow. You have to deal with that shadow. You should do something, meditate, chill out, so you don't have such a shadowy anger thing. And now that thing has gone away and we can be okay. Except for if we do it that way, what happened to my ability to assert myself, or say there's a boundary, or say you disrespected me? I don't have it. So we've turned this thing into something bad. It's not something bad. This thing, the thing that's bad, if you look at it, is not this, I want to assert myself, and the energy that builds there. It's this, this suppressive force, an attitude that says, I'm not allowed to be angry, I'm not allowed to be assertive, I can't even be a little angry, it's a little bugging me, I can't do any of that. So the suppression of that particular thing pushes that thing down, and then we blame this thing that comes up. You're an angry person.
And this thing here could be from racism, it could be from sexism, it could be from other isms, it could be just a belief system that one's adopted from one's family growing up. It could be a number of different things.
That's right.
This suppressive force.
That's right. If you're a woman, it could say, it's not ladylike, or it may not have those words in your mind, but you still may have been trained more to not be interruptive and to be open, etc. If you're an African American and you protest, and that protest song that I'm unhappy with the way I'm getting treated, gets pushed down enough, and then it erupts, then it gets a little bit bigger. I gave the example the other day. Then I might get then I throw a rock, I smash a window. That's bad, you're smashing windows, that's no good, you're too violent. Yes. Breaking windows would be better if not breaking windows would be better than breaking windows. But we're blaming this. We're not blaming this thing that says, well, now that's an angry black person. I hate saying that word. Because that's now becomes a suppressive force. This looks like I'm on the side of goodness. Isn't it good to not have breaking windows? But if you don't understand that you're pushing something down all the time, that you over here, this suppressive force, is creating some of that violence. It's not the violence inherent in here. It's the violence in inherently holding something down.
And it could even be a belief system that seems relatively innocuous. I'm thinking of maybe like a spiritual belief system that says we should, treat everybody with respect and be kind only, or something like that, right?
That's a great example.
That it's not necessarily an ism that suppresses, but it could also be what seems like a kind-hearted, compassionate viewpoint. Yes?
Right.
Is that true?
Exactly. So let's say I have a viewpoint that says, I should be open-minded.
Right.
I should be an open person. So if you come in and I got a problem, I think in myself, my spiritual belief is, you have a problem with that, David. Be open-minded. Life flows into a flow. You should be open to people. Why not let her come in? Why not let her bring her ideas in? Why not shut her out? Why not let her interrupt your scene? Maybe that's really warranted. Why don't you be open to people? Now I'm open. That sounds really good.
Right.
That's my spiritual belief system. But I'm so open that people keep on coming in because there's no close. Right?
Yeah.
There's no closed door.
Right.
So at some point, I'm going to shut the door. I'm going to slam the door. And when I slam the door and say, I'm not tired of being open-minded. I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to bring in my own ideas. This is what I believe. No, I don't want to hear what you say. No, I'm not open to everybody on Facebook and their opinions. I have my own opinions. I'm going to assert them today. And you hear the extra oomph. I'm going to assert them today. Where's that coming from? It's coming from the fact that I have a spiritual belief system, as you identified, that's saying I have to be open all the time. So then this comes up, and I said, today, I'm not going to hear anybody else. I'm just going to speak for myself. That comes up, and it looks like that's the problem. Well, you have a pushy, closed-mindedness, rigidness in the shadow. What's in the shadow is just my own opinion and not being so open all the time.
Right.
But why does it look that way? Because of the suppressive force and now the bursting out.
I also hear from a lot of people and a lot of my clients over the years, they don't want to complain. They say, well, I'm just complaining. And so they have a complaint, let's say, that comes up, and then something says, you're complaining, you shouldn't complain, or your life is relatively good, or just merely that it's not good to complain.
Right.
Would that be an example like this?
Yes. That's really an important one. For women in specific, but then for everyone. Women specific because there's a gender sexism dynamic there. Complaint is almost always the beginning of a need that's not spoken for. So if I have a need for warm tea, something simple, right? And because I'm cold, let's say, and I really want some warm tea, and then I get the tea, but it's cool. But I had a need. This is a minor need, but the needs can be much bigger than this.
Yeah.
Now I get the tea and it's cold. I think, oh, I shouldn't say anything. I shouldn't tell them, take back the tea.
Right.
Could you warm this up? Oh, this is not exactly how I want it because I'm complaining. I'm being nitpicky. I shouldn't speak up for myself in that particular way. But in the background is not, if not in the background, that complaint that comes up is not something negative. It's my own needs. How come I can't say, oh, I was cold today. I would love to have this tea warmer. And if I never do that, then I start becoming very complaining. I start saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, because that's bursting out again out of something that says I'm not allowed to have my own basic needs if they bother, interrupt, ask anybody for anything different, if someone would feel bad, have to take care of everybody, right? That's why it could be, I call it genderized, to take care of everybody. I can't have my own needs. And if you're a nurse, if you're a healer, if you're a counselor, if you're a therapist, if you're a caretaker of a person who's passing of a spouse, if you're a woman person who's been socialized to think I should take care of other people, having your own needs never comes up. And then it comes up in a little thing, a complaint. I finally kind of go, I'm not happy with this. And people say, wow, that's complaining. And I have this belief system again that says I'm complaining, suppresses it back down. I become cranky, irritable, grumpy, and every so often I make a big complaint. And
or symptomatic even.
Or symptomatic physically.
Yeah.
So then in that way, in the shadow, is just my own needs. It's not a negative thing. I just need things and I can't speak for it. Why? Because the suppressive force does the problem.
I like how you frame that in that example where somebody doesn't feel comfortable complaining, let's say, that what's in the shadow is not that they might think the fact that I complain is my shadow. Like that's a bad thing. Complaining is the shadow. When actually you're saying it's the needs in the background that's in the shadow, not the complaining.
Yeah. That's the point. The
Mm-hmm.
needs in the background. My own wanting to assert my boundaries in the anger example are in the background.
Right.
Things like that. So my own caring for myself, etc. All these things in the background, they're not negative things. They're usually human, basic needs, expressions that are pushed down.
Can you give just one more example of that? Because that would be something that, in a way, you're reframing it. Because people, like I said, people might think complaining, I shouldn't complain, that's a bad thing, that's in my shadow, when actually it's needs, so that's a, quote, positive thing. Can you give us another example of something that's, quote, positive that could be in the shadow?
Sure. Let's say that you complained to me, you had a need, right? Let's say you said to me, David, you don't listen well. Lots of people get that complaint, that criticism. You don't listen well. In organizations, we get that all the time. And then the culture believes that that's an important criticism, meaning many people will get sent to training, to nonviolent communication and listening skills, passing a talking stick so we learn how to listen. A therapist comes in and says, David, let Lisa finish. Make sure you sit back and relax and learn to hear what she says.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
And it is. That can be very helpful. But how come I don't listen so well? Well, one of the main reasons people don't listen so well, one of the main reasons, is because they have something to say. Now, if I have something to say, I have my own voice, and I've been told, you should listen, you should listen, you should listen. Again, we could think about that gender-wise or culture-wise. If I've been told I should listen, what happens to my voice? I have an opinion. I'd like to say what I think. I think I have the right answer. I don't like what you're saying. It doesn't feel good the way you're talking to me. All the voice in me that has intelligence, emotion, all kinds of expression in it, I said I should listen. Now the pressure to listen, the rule, the force to say I should listen, pushes my voice down. Then what happens? Then I sit here and I try to listen. Trying to listen means I'm trying not to speak, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually I'm going to kind of go, ooh, and I'm going to interrupt you.
Right.
I do that all the time.
Right.
I interrupt you,
Right.
right? Ooh, yeah. Now I'm going to say what I think. David, you're not really listening to me. That's because I'm holding in 10,000 pounds of pressure of everything I've been wanting to say. I don't want to hear a word you have to say anymore.
Right.
Now, if you wanted to deal with that from a coaching type perspective, you say, I should learn to listen past the talking step. But if you wanted to deal with that on a psychological level, in terms of the shadow, you'd want to say, David, tell me about the voice that was in you. What happens if you had an hour and you could speak? What happens if no one would interrupt you? What happens if you could say everything you wanted to say? What happens if you could say it in the way you want to say it? With the fierceness, the tenderness, the love, the fury, the whatever, the sadness, the grief in it. What happens if you could really express yourself? This particular person's going to get very moved by that. Oh my gosh. There's so much inside of me. So in the shadow then is my voice.
Sure, yeah.
Then it comes up, it looks like I don't listen, it looks like I interrupt, it looks like my ears are closed. But what's going on is I haven't expressed something. I haven't been given room. I can't even love the fact that I want to say something. If I can't love that, it's going to be very hard to listen. I can put away my voice at times, but I better, when my voice comes up and it wants to interrupt, I better at least inside think, I know I have so much to say. I love what I have to say. It's so interesting to me, but I'll hear you today. That's going to create an inner atmosphere that's not suppressive. I can listen, but if I think, oh, I should be listening, I'm a bad person, I'm not listening, it's going to be pushing it down. And then you have one of the dangers of the shadow. Because people say, why is it so dangerous then if these are all good things? One of the dangers is suppression itself is violent. This is not violent. This is violence. I'm not letting something live. I'm stopping something from live. So, and all that violence is in there, the bursting out, etc. So the violence is not getting caused by the fact that I have something to say. It's getting caused by the suppressive force, what I have to say.
I'm just going back to what you just said a moment ago. It's really touching what you're saying about trying to find my way again inside one moment. That when your voice does come out, that it's important that you love it. You may have said it differently than that.
Yes.
It's really touching.
Yeah. It's a deep thing. It's a deep thing to appreciate, love, care about, take interest in, value, love the things that are down here, my needs, my voice, my power to tell people they're violating me. It's important that I don't start thinking of that with the suppressive mind. Oh, that's bad. That's a bad part about me.
There I go again.
There I go again.
Yeah.
This maintains that suppressive voice. So it just keeps that whole thing going. You can hear that in people and they say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I feel guilty. I feel terrible.
Right.
They can't appreciate themselves. If someone says, I did that, I feel terrible, you should expect them to be violent over and over and over again, meaning break through, because they're still suppressing themselves and they'll break through. If I can say, oh, there I go again. I have 10 zillion things to say. I have 5 more books to write. I wish I could write them. Sorry, that always comes out of me. I'm listening now. It's going to be much better for you and for me. And you can trust that I'm not just suppressing myself and I'm not going to be pissed with you that I'm not talking.
So a little bit of humor can help too.
Right. It's one of the deepest things you're bringing up. If you can laugh at yourself. I have 10 more books to go. You can laugh at yourself. I used to tell my students when I teach, I said, so many students criticize me for not listening enough. I say, they're all right. And then people would laugh. I said, if I do it too much, throw something at me, don't hurt me. We're already playing, I'm already bringing awareness. What's so good about the awareness? It's not in the shadow anymore. I know I have a lot to say. I know I won't get it out for the next 10 years. You know it, you can interrupt me, we can laugh about it. Now the whole territory is not wrapped in shadow. I want to say quickly a couple of other things that make the shadow dangerous because people think it's bad. One is that suppressive force, which is a violence, not the thing itself. The other is when it's suppressed, I'm no longer aware of what I'm doing. So I like to use the phrase, it's like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. Oh, I was just drunk at the time. Yes, but every time you get drunk, you treat me badly. Right? So No, I don't think that. I wasn't aware of that at all.
Right.
That lack of awareness makes things difficult. That suppressive makes things difficult. And the last thing is that when it's in the shadow, I can't take any responsibility for it. Well, I didn't mean to do that. That's not me. I didn't mean to do that.
Right.
It's not my intent. Sorry that you feel that way.
Right.
Why am I saying those things? I have no capacity to take responsibility for those things in the shadow because they're in the shadow. That means I don't think they're me.
Right.
So those three things I just wanted to say create the danger that people say this is a bad thing. Yeah.
Fascinating discussion.
It is a good discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking me so much and telling me your own interests. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's fun. Thank you.
Thank you.